So the results of a new study are in, and I love this so much that I wanted to share it with you guys. When Seattle made start times for middle and high schools later, students got an average of 34 more minutes of sleep, grades improved, and tardiness and absences decreased, a study found. So, I like how different districts are playing with this stuff, and they're like, hey, how could we improve society somewhat? And somebody came up with the idea of, I don't know, maybe let them sleep in a little more and push the start time back. Oh, I totally agree with that. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think school for me, most of my life, it started at like 8:30, which is on the later end, because they're saying they moved it from 7:50 a.m. is when school used to start in Seattle, and then they pushed it back to 8:45. So I'm pretty sure for me, it started mostly around 8:30. I'll check with Corin on that. I could be wrong, but I feel like it started mostly around 8:30. And if you had given me an extra 30 minutes or an hour, I think I would have had there would have been a bunch of positive results as well. And they go on and explain this in the article. They say, listen, as you hit puberty, your sleep cycle changes. And that's not just like, oh, your kid is being bad because they're a teenager now or whatever. No, that actually is a biological thing that happens across the board, where now all of a sudden natural sleep time for people going through puberty is about 12 o'clock at night. Whereas before, so if you try to force them to go sleep at like 10, not necessarily going to happen because their biological clock is changing. So, and I didn't know that. I read that in the article. I was like, oh, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense, because I've always been kind of a late sleeper, late waker, but they're saying that's like biological, and I didn't know that part of it. I was like, oh, okay, that's weird. So it happens to pretty much everybody. So to give them that extra time in the morning, it has all these positive effects. So there was a 4.5% increase in grades. So it was across the board benefits. Like every measurable category, they were like, okay, that improved, that improved, that improved, that improved. So what does that go to tell you? It goes to tell you, and that this is the message from this story. When you try to tweak society and change the rules a little bit and see if this works better or that works better, that's a good thing. There's no reason to stick with something for tradition's sake just because we've always done it like that. Maybe that thing that we're doing is just fucking stupid, and maybe we can improve it. And the first thing that popped into my mind after I read this story was, okay, well, next, give people 3 weeks paid vacation by law. In the U.S., we're the only developed country that doesn't have paid time off by law. The only developed country. So it's similar to the single payer in that respect. Every other country has single payer healthcare. We don't. Every other country has some amount of time off paid by law every year. We don't. And listen, you want to, like, we have sky high rates of depression and anxiety in this country. How much would that change if everybody got 3 weeks off paid vacation time by law every year? I mean, it's just a hypothesis at this point, but I'm guessing that might come down a little bit because people are always anxious. They're always on edge. They're always working and going from one place to another place, and we move at 1,000 miles an hour. You don't have to tell me I live in New York City, and I'm right by New York City, city that never sleeps. So there's always this energy, and there's like, oh, let's go. It's like the entire fucking state is on a cocaine high our entire lives. And it's just, well, what if we injected a little dose of like European-style living in there, where it's a little more leisure, get some paid vacation time? I think that could change everything and change it for the better. So we should be experimenting with how society acts, and I think there's only benefits to that. And even something like a 4-day work week, I think people would love that. And they might even trade off, hey, I'll work more hours in a given day if I get a 3-day weekend. And I think that this is good, and we should continue to experiment with this, because my guess is the more you try these things, the more positive results there will be, and then and society's better off across the board. So I don't know. We should probably get to that.